All right, we're here with Ryan Howard.
Rhino!
By the way,
What's going on,
we
gentlemen?
tried to track down at the All-Star game.
Yep.
Wanted to do something with you there. You were super busy.
Busy dude.
You're a super busy guy. You have how many kids now?
I have 4 kids.
4 kids.
4 kids. One out, one back in. So I got an 18-year-old.
Whoa, what? How does that happen?
So I got an 18-year-old son.
I tried to put her back.
Well, we got the
out of the
receipts.
house.
Yeah,
Out of
yeah,
the.
yeah.
Got
They don't come with receipts.
Yeah, no.
So you
Nope.
got to keep them when they come. But,
Found that out.
Yeah. So one in college, and then I got a 5, a 3, and a 3-month-old.
I mean, that keeps you plenty busy. You're
Yeah.
also, we're in San Diego right now for the winter meetings. You're here with Scott's. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with them.
Yeah, so we're here with Scott's for the 2020 Field Refurbishment Program, which is going to provide 4 different youth organization fields, $50,000 in grants and products and services, the opportunity to refurbish their field, and basically get a new field.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. What else has been going on? Because you're a guy that you can wear many hats, and I just found out before we started recording, you actually went to school for broadcasting. Like I didn't realize that.
I did.
Like, so is that something? Because you were doing the stuff with ESPN. Is that something that, like, I know you want to be with your kids now. Is that something that you want to utilize again in the future?
Oh man, it's been great. I went to school. My undergrad was for communications, mass media.
Yeah.
And obviously didn't get the opportunity to kind of finish that because I was drafted my junior year out of college.
Not a big deal.
But I mean, you find out how hard it is,
Yeah.
and how hard and more difficult it is. I mean, you see, it's like with ball, right? People only see the finished product. They don't see all the stuff that goes in behind the scene and all the work that takes place. So it's a lot harder than people think.
Mm-hmm.
Worst baseball field you ever played on, from little league through your amateur ranks before you. Worst yard ever. I was just talking to Jenny Finch. We were just talking to Jenny, and
Okay.
being a pitcher, we were talking about just brutal mounds that we would come across,
Ooh.
right? But like
Oh,
just
man.
worst.
There's a couple. And there's a couple in the professional ranks too.
Oh,
buddy.
More,
Yeah,
more on
we'll
the,
get into that too.
More on the spring training ranks.
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Where was it? It wasn't Mahoney Valley. It was what was the Suns? It was like, it used to be the San Francisco Giants organization. Now I think it was the Gnats. In the New York Penn League, I think it was. I
Yeah,
forget.
so you were grinding.
It was
grinding out
rough because
Florida.
it was one of those that had kind of a hill in center field, not like it used to be in Houston.
right.
Like this was just natural rolling hill in
Sure.
center field. But yeah, I mean that was a tough spot. Asheville was the outfield in Asheville was a little
Terrible.
rough. Yeah, that was a little rough.
That's
but luckily for me, I played first base, so I was okay.
it's all
So
good.
yeah,
So
I was
couldn't see your right fielder.
yeah,
no big
so
deal.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about those guys. Like,
Yeah,
wow, man, where'd he go?
Cut.
There's supposed to be somebody out there, but
Yeah, there's an outfield in Arkansas, or what is not anymore. They've got a new yard, but Arkansas was legit. If you were in the third base dugout, you could only see like the hat of your right fielder. Like
Wow.
you only see the top of your right fielder, and they had metal grates that were in play out beyond like center field. There was a light pole that was in play. It was just a bad situation.
well, it made us better.
Sure.
It made
spin zone.
you figure some things out.
Yeah. You better go home,
Yeah,
right?
most definitely. Worst, I will say this though, worst spring training spot. And the only reason was because in Florida it would get so hot, and the fields by the 5th inning would start to dry out.
Yeah.
So as they dry out, it's like
Hard.
protect yourself at all times.
Yup.
And I would say that has to be Bradenton with the
Tigers?
Pirates. The
Pirates.
We were there.
The Pirates.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was guaranteed that at some point, 5th inning on, because
Yeah.
the field. I would always tell.
Is that,
I would always tell the opposing first baseman and tell the grounds crew guy, make that thing muddy. Like make it. I want to slip and slide.
You
all
asking
over
for
the place.
water in between
Yeah, so
innings?
that
Yeah.
way, I feel like when they go and drag the field, I feel there should be like a re-drowning of the field
Yes.
in
Yeah.
that situation, because in spring training it's about getting your reps and getting your work in and getting out safe and sound.
Yeah.
But at some point there was always one bad hop that if it didn't get somebody, like you were looking like, oh, that could have been bad.
Yeah. What was talking about your younger playing days? What was your for the love of the game moment? Before you were ever handed a major league contract, before you were drafted, like what was like your favorite baseball memory from before you were a professional baseball player?
Oh man, that would have to go. I think for the love of the game, I mean, I think that would just have to be, there was like this infamous Red Lobster home run that I hit when I was like 12 years old. There was a Red Lobster. The ballpark backed up to this Red Lobster, and it was probably like
bomb?
it was like another, you know, like 40 feet from there, and I hit a ball that took a one hopper, and like one hop and hit the Red Lobster. and so you know, we were like 12 years old, and then there was like the folklore and the legend that grew of
is that
like
the dude that hit the lobster
bomb?
bomb?
Like, he was like, oh, he hit it in like somebody's seafood tower or something like that.
So people just try to sit there and enjoy their ultimate feast, and here's Rhino dropping diesel on their dinner plate. Appreciate you, more breadsticks.
Exactly, but it was one of those moments where for me, you know, it was I really just enjoyed playing the game and didn't really think too much of it, but it was just the allure that it brought from everybody else and how hyped up they got about it.
So, you know, we've talked to you a couple of times now, and you're obviously like a very like relaxed, laid back guy. How did that sort of personality play in Philly for you? Like, were there any times you were like, I don't know if I'm like, you know, if my personality meshes with the rabid fan base aspect over there with the Phillies?
You know, I was always a guy who was just able to adapt.
Yeah.
I would always tell people I'm just a laid-back cat from St. Louis. Just, you know, like it is what it is. Like you understand what Philadelphia is. You understand the reputation of the fans and how it can precede itself and how they're passionate and, you know, passionate to a fault at times or whatnot and can be aggressive. So for me, I was that person who I would put pressure on myself because it was one of those things to where it's like I want to be good. Like it was that drive, that feel to try to be good. So it's almost kind of like whatever pressure you guys are looking at trying to put on me, you can't put more pressure than what I would put on myself. So understanding that and understanding how much work and how much effort you put into stuff, and then to have people kind of boo you or this or that or whatever, it's going to do two things. Either it's going to motivate you to go out there and try and do better, or you're going to crack. So, you know, for me, it was one of those things where it's like it was continuing to just try to get better, and pushing myself to get better.
You had some teammates, some guys that I just absolutely love the way they played the game, one of them being Chase Utley. Talk a little bit about the impact that a guy like that can have on a young guy like you, and being able to not only blend and mesh into maybe a situation that others might find uncomfortable, being a laid-back cat from the Lou, and really learning more about yourself from somebody that you maybe not would have thought that, hey, I don't know that this guy's going to really unearth Ryan Howard.
Right.
But they do.
You know what it was? I think it was not just Chase, but it was the fact of all the different types of personalities that we had, from the Brett Myers, who was the loud, crazy one of the group. You had the Jason Worth, who was like the super sarcastic, just bury you
beautiful
and didn't even
human.
know that he would bury you kind of guy. You had Shane Victorino, who I've never seen anybody eat more sweets and ice cream and never gain a pound in his life.
It's genetics, man.
And then you had Jimmy, where Jimmy was kind of the engine or the motor, or he was that guy who wasn't afraid to go out and speak what he wanted, speak his mind and say what he wanted to say, and then go out there, go back it up. So I think, and then you had Chase, where Chase was the hard nose. He was like the grit. He was the iron that sharpened the sword, so to speak, of that team. So when you put all of those personalities together, we all had one thing in common, and that was wanting to win. And so when you put all those different personalities together for the common goal, it was a lot of success to be able to be had, because no matter how Chase was, and it was funny because hitting with Chase, he'd have these moments where he'd have blow-ups.
Good snap.
But it was amazing. But us knowing Chase, where he would have his snap, it was funny to us. You know, because it was just like,
can you give us a funny Chase snap story?
I mean, it would be if he'd been struggling a little bit, or not even struggling, but if he was like just not feeling good at the plate or this or that or whatever, sometimes like in BP, like he'd be taking BP and it's just not working. And then like with our BP guy, he would just like Chase would just snap and just like toss his bat. He'd just like
L
hurl his
screen?
bat at the L screen, and then the BP pitcher would just like fire one back into the to the cage. And me, Jimmy, and Shane are all in the group, and I'm like dying laughing. And I'm like, oh. All right, well, that's a double. He's going to get a double tonight. So, and he would,
right?
And he would. He'd go out and he'd get a double. So, it was awesome, man. Being able to share the field with those guys was amazing.
Oh, truly.
Yeah.
What do you think was the best Phillies team that you were a part of to not win a World Series?
Obviously, the team you're going to look at is going to be that team
09.
for 2011.
Yeah, that team too.
So, when you're looking at the squad where you have Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Roy Oswalt, Cole Hamels, all working on the bump. It's hard to not envision yourself.
I remember laughing out loud looking at that on paper. Like the first time that they showed up to spring training, and just like you see like the first pictures from spring training popping up, and just like, come on.
To have that kind of a pitching staff, and not only that, but to have a pitching staff that works so fast. Cliff Lee was the fastest guy that I'd ever seen work until Roy Oswalt. Until I was playing behind Roy Oswalt. Like, you could make dinner reservations
for sure.
Let's
not forget Joe B.
Yeah. You can't forget Joe Blanton.
Joe Blanton
right there.
I wanted to ask you about Roy Halladay, because you talked about the impact of the guys, Jimmy Rollins, Swagmaster, Chase, the sharpener of the spear. Roy, obviously, is sort of a transcendent personality.
Yes.
He made the decision, if you remember, they wanted to put the 5 aces or the 4 aces or whatever on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah.
Roy said, you will have all 5 of us or you won't have any of us.
Yes.
What kind of cachet what did that mean to have that kind of cachet?
Roy didn't care about that stuff.
Right.
Roy cared about one thing, and that was cared about 2 things: being a good teammate and winning. When it came to baseball, he was amazing man. Off the field as such as well. Like, great family man, great father as well. But when it came to the baseball stuff, he wanted to be a great teammate and he wanted to win. And having Joe Blanton, because Joe Blanton was also an intricate part of that too, to where Joe was going to go out there. Joe was a bull. He was a pit bull. Joe was going to go out there and give you some innings.
Joe is
he's going to go out there and go do it.
Special dude.
So, but when it came to Roy, he didn't care about any of that stuff. He didn't really care about the glitz, the glamour, and all that kind of stuff or whatever. It's like, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to prepare myself to go out here and try to win. Like, he was that guy where you would have to pry the ball out of his hand for him to come out of the game.
Yep. You're a humble guy. I need you to not be for this question.
Okay, got it.
You take your best home run hitting season, right? You drop it in 2019. How many home runs are you hitting with the juice baseballs?
I've had people tell me, like, multiple people say, Ryan, if you were playing in this age, you would easily have hit 70 home runs.
Yeah.
They said 70, because I was like, if you took guys like myself or like Adam Dunn, and who else was there, man? Like Carlos Lee.
Yes.
Like, you take those guys who were hitting 40, like, and you add it to this. And I didn't solicit that.
Right.
People were coming to me and saying, like, hey,
right,
your best year, you probably would have had 70 to 80 home runs and with these guys.
Do you believe that?
I think, as Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
I believe it.
How do you think
humbly unhumble.
Say legitimately you were able to drop your best offensive season in 2019 and you were chasing down Bonds. How do you think you mentally would have handled that?
Mentally, I think it would have been a matter of just,
you got family coming on the road. They want to watch. They want to see.
But it was like, for that stuff, to me, it was more like, oh, okay, that's showtime.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
motivation.
Okay, yeah, come on out.
That's
like,
what you've been waiting for.
every night it's a show. They call it the show for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're feeling that and you're doing this, and you kind of you gotta feel yourself. You gotta taste yourself a little bit.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So to the point to where, you still stay humble, you stay hungry, but at the same point, like, within, you gotta let that light shine. Right. You know what I'm saying? So for me, for the mental aspect of it, is like, if I'm locked in, like, if you take a 2006 Ryan Howard and lock me in like that, I would say don't have your family come to the ballpark. Don't tell your friends. Watch something else because there's a great chance you're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah.
There's a great chance.
Yeah.
But I mean,
what was your big league moment? Like maybe you're
like my welcome to the
like, oh shit, I'm here.
Like I'm here.
Shit, this is the big
All
league.
right, so this is awesome. So for me, it actually happened in spring training.
Okay.
And it was probably like 05, I want to say it was 05, 06 maybe. So Ken Griffey Jr. was one of my huge idols growing up. And so we're playing in Clearwater. He's on the Reds, and he gets on base and gets base hit. He's like, "Oh, what's up, big man? How you doing?" And like the fan and the kid in me is like, "Oh, like what?" Like Ken Griffey Jr. just said, "What's up to me, man?" But you know I got to play cool. I was like,
yo.
Man, I'm chilling, man. What's up? So play it cool. And then that's when I realized it's like this is the dude that I grew up idolizing, and I'm standing next to him
right here
on the same field, showing that I can play with this guy and play on this level. And that was my like I'm here kind of moment.
You
so
played
that was really
it right
cool for me.
too, because I guess Griffey doesn't respond well to like fanboying with like. I think it was Cargo said like the first time he ever played with Griffey, he went up to him in BP. He was like, "Hey man, like I grew up like a big fan of you," and he was like, "Grow up."
Yeah.
I mean, like Griffey was that kind of dude. But like you talk about like your. Like the 05, 06 part of your career. Mm-hmm. Two-part question.
Yeah.
Who is the guy that you look to as like, you're like, I'm going to follow this guy around. I'm going to do what he does. I'm going to work with him. And then at what point in your career were you like, oh shit, like I'm that guy to someone else now? And who was it?
Well, I mean, coming up, I had this guy, you might have heard of him, Jim Tomey.
Yeah.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, for 600 tanks.
600, yeah. Sorry about he was great, man. I mean, he mentored me. I was kind of his caddy, like, in early on, 04, 05, stuff like that. But, gave me great little tidbits of advice and pieces of advice to kind of move forward and do what I needed to do. Jimmy was actually the one who kind of took me in my first year in the big leagues, like let me come crash at his house and kind of told me and showed me. Marlon Bird was another guy who kind of showed me the ropes of what it was like to be a big leaguer mm-hmm. and how you carry yourself and this and that. Because I remember in Atlanta, Gavin Floyd and I, it was 2004, our first road trip in Atlanta, and we got to the hotel. So when you're coming from the minor leagues, like you grab your own bags and you take them to the room. Mm-hmm. So we get to the hotel and we're on the elevator. Mind you, we're dressed up and like he's wearing a hot pink.
Oh, is this in September?
Yeah, this was in September. So he's wearing a hot pink halter top. I'm wearing a.
So not only are you dressed like a clown.
Yeah, so we get to the hotel, and then all of a sudden, we're on the elevator with one of the older guys, and we've got our bags, and they're like, what are you guys doing? It's like, oh, we're going to our rooms. Like, we got our bags and stuff. He's like, no, you don't take your bags. You have the bellman take your bags because that's how they make their money, by you tipping the bellman. So we didn't know that. No one ever told us that, but, there was obviously big leaguer etiquette.
Sure.
So
you're gonna learn.
Yeah. So we learned that day.
So who was that guy that you mentored?
Man, I tried to talk to my man Tojo, Tommy Joseph, Dominic Brown when he was there for a little bit. Just tried to talk to as many guys that I could. Michael Franco, just try to give them little tidbits here and there.
Well, your family appreciates you being at home. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Scott's appreciates the help that you're giving them on and off the field as well.
Yeah.
We have a question we like to ask each guest, and we'll ask you again. Mm-hmm. Have we already asked them this question, Jared?
No.
All right.
I don't think so.
If we can put you in a hot tub time machine and take you back in Major League Baseball history, and you can bear witness to any moment in time, what is that moment? You're there.
I'm there. Hot tub time machine it. Take me back to when I'd like to go back to like some of the old school days. Take me back to go see like Babe Ruth and those guys and see what it was like and
Babe Ruth was
yeah,
fake, I think.
go like be a fly on the wall and watch Babe Ruth kind of do his thing like on and off the field.
Yeah.
See what kind of gig he has working. So,
Yeah. What that
yeah,
life was like.
I would love to see that, and then maybe on the way back, stop and see the Willie Mays over the shoulder catch.
Okay.
Yeah, and go check that out.
It's a good pick.
I like it.
Yeah,
It's a good pick.
Yeah.
I'm a believer that Babe Ruth was a mythical character.
Yeah, you want to tell him who
He's a
you think
unicorn.
Babe Ruth is essentially?
Adam Dunn.
Oh, okay. Oh,
If Babe Ruth played today, he'd be Adam Dunn.
Like he
that's
wouldn't
a
be
great-
Babe Ruth. He would
that's-
just be an
Yeah.
Adam Dunn.
No,
is what he
he's
said.
Never
would
seen a
be-
fastball over like 85 in his life. He's never
He
seen.
doesn't
a
get the
wipeout
whole
slider.
comparable to the eras, and he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I see. I don't know. I don't ever compare the eras.
Yeah.
Because it's just you can't. It's
Right.
just two
Yeah.
completely different
You can't.
animals. You can't. You can
You
never
can't.
compare it.
But what we can do is say that Babe Ruth played against guys that are like walking around the lobby of this hotel right now. That's pretty much his competition he was playing
Yeah.
against. We'll have this conversation another time. Ryan
Yeah.
Howard, thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on. You will be a 2-time guest at some point.
Oh man, most definitely. And
Yeah.
I just want to shout out for people to be able to find out about how to go out and apply.
Yes.
For the program, you just have to go to www.mlb.com /Scottsfield to be able to try to go nominate one of the youth organization type fields that you want to try to get in there for the grant money for the refurbishment program.
Boom,
So
done.
I
Get
appreciate it,
involved.
guys, for having me on.
Of course.
Anytime,
we'll do this
my
again
friend.
Soon.
Yes, sir.